military. All of those things are hurting us, and our veterans, we tell them how important they are, but still we're not taking care of them. 22 veterans every day are committing suicide. Obviously, we need to address the military. As far as our soldiers are concerned, the day you apply for the military, you should also be enrolled in a support program. And that should support you all the way through your entire military career. And a year before you discharge, that support program should be working on reintegrating you into society with the skills that you have. And everybody should have a health savings account that is subsidized by the government that would allow you to go to any healthcare facility in the office to take care of you. Speaking of healthcare facilities, this crap about me wanting to abolish Medicare and Medicaid, that's all it is crap, Now, let me just tell you a secret. What I'm talking about is giving people alternatives. For instance, in Medicaid, the annual budget is over $600 billion. And we have 48 million people who participate. 40 million are 65 and over, 8 million are other. If you divide 48 million into 600 billion, you get $12,500 a piece. Now, what kind of insurance could you buy for $12,500 a year? Let me tell you, you could buy a Cadillac. You would have a really, really nice car, and you wouldn't have a whole bunch of bureaucrats telling you what you could do and what you couldn't do. So I'm designing a program that gives people those choices. Now, anybody who wants to stay in the old program, they're welcome to do so. Okay, but you're going to have to be fairly dense not to recognize when they're getting a better deal. The same thing for Medicaid. We have 80 million people participate in Medicaid. Now, the annual budget is $400 to $500 billion. Do the math, $5,000 for each one. Now, what could you buy with that? Concierge practices generally cost $2,000 to $3,000 a year. You still have a couple thousand left over for your catastrophic insurance, which is much cheaper when you use your HSA for virtually everything you're doing. And some people say, but poor people would not be able to manage a health savings account because they're too stupid. Why do they say stuff like that? They think they're all like them. But the fact of the matter is, it's not true. And they would learn very quickly how to manage that health savings account. Because they said they wouldn't be able to manage food stamps either, but they learned very quickly how to do that. And they would learn not to go to the emergency room when you have a diabetic foot ulcer, where it costs 5 times more than it would to go to the clinic. They'll go to the clinic, get it taken care of, and in the clinic, they'll say, let's get your diabetes under control so you're not back here in 3 weeks with another problem, a whole other level of savings, and we're teaching people the whole concept of personal responsibility instead of dependency. Those are the kinds of things that we have to do. And the last thing I'm going to say is, I get a lot of ridicule from the secular progressives because I believe in God. But I got to tell you something. I will never relinquish my belief in God. Our current president says says that we are not a Judeo-Christian nation. But I say he doesn't get to decide, we get to decide. Thank you very much.
I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Candy Carson, and I approve this message.
I have time for 2 questions.
I have a question.
Okay. I'm going to let the one with the microphone ask.
Our current administration has seemingly forgotten how important our ties with Israel are. How do you believe that relationship should be?
Well, I've been to Israel within the last year. I couldn't find a single person who didn't think that we had turned our backs on them. And they are our vital allies. And we look at our other allies, and we look at people like Ukraine, who gave up their nuclear arsenal because we said we would help if somebody invaded them. Did we help? No, we won't even give them offensive weapons. I think people look at the way we treat Israel, they look at the way we treat Ukraine, and it's contributing to the decline in our respect around the world. And the first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that Israel knows that they don't have to worry, we have their back.
I've been most impressed with you during your campaign is that you have tried to stay connected to little people like me. You're interested in what we have to say and our questions. When you're president, will you still remember us and how?
Very, very good question. Well, one of the things that I do now, as you probably notice, is every night I answer questions on Facebook, by people. I will continue to do that as president of the United States. I think it is vital that our government reorients itself, because one of the other first things I would do is call for a joint session of Congress. And I would help them to understand that we work for the people don't work for us. And it is vitally important, if you're working for the people, that you know what the people think. And we're working on a number of mechanisms using technology to make sure that we stay in contact with the people of the United States, because there is tremendous wisdom in the people, I have noticed. The vast majority of Americans have common sense. It's their leaders that don't have it. And what we have to do, and what I want everybody here to remember, is that we all play a significant role in the way that our country is growing. Our voices must be heard. They will not be heard if you don't vote. There are a lot of people who sit on their hands. In 2012, 93 million people who could have voted didn't vote. 30 million evangelicals did not vote because they thought, oh, I like this person. 90% of them would say, but this one part I just don't like, so I'm sitting on my hands. Well, if they don't vote, they are voting. We need to make sure that people understand that. And everybody here knows people. Three of them to get involved and make sure they vote. Just 3. If everybody in here gets 3 people to do that, and then you make sure that those 3 people get 3 more people, can you imagine what effect that will have? And I guarantee you, if we start doing that, that the numbers will be so overwhelming, it really doesn't matter what the secular progressives think. Thank you all very much.